Bob will be able to monitor any transmissions.
If there is a presence of phenomena of any type, it can be measured in a physical sense, and there are a variety of test instruments that can do that. For example, this little device, turn it on here. Aha! You hear that little chirping sound? This indicates that we have transmitters on, and you and I happen to know that we have because each of us is wearing one. It's our little wireless microphones.
Right.
With monitors set, Bob and Mike settle in for a long night of listening. At the top of Teekaboo Peak, team leader Chuck Clark and aviation reporter Guy Norris move the telescope into final position. When something happens, if something happens, they'll only have seconds to react.
It's a moonless night tonight, right? So that's better for the chances, the potential chances of something happening.
It increases the potential chances. They don't want a chance silhouetting against the moon, so the less moon there is in a night, the more likely they are to test.
It's almost 2 a.m. Electronics specialist Bob Grove and security expert Mike Johnson are encamped just outside the base's border.
Here, and if the signal comes on, it will make us...
Bob's high-tech radio equipment will monitor any ground or air activity at Area 51.
Stay on there, and if I want to monitor that, we're particularly interested in looking for signals that pop up in this frequency range, because this is a federal government range. One is in the 160 megahertz to 170 megahertz range. And then we go a little bit higher, where military aircraft in the 225 to 400 megahertz range.
What they hear is the actual sound of Area 51.
6-5 on Fox 4.
Bob adjusts the frequency.
What's that chatter that we're hearing there on the radio?
That's security.
Okay. Talking about us?
Could be.
Mike and Bob suspect they're being monitored by Area 51 security. They will ride out the night waiting to see if they'll be hassled by the legendary security team. Chuck and Guy can see lights appear. It seems to be operational, even at 3 a.m.
In the years that I've been here, almost 10 years I've been here now, it's expanded quite a bit, probably doubled in size just in the last 10 years.
Tonight, on the mountain peak and on the desert floor, the air has been strangely silent. Then, the steady static is interrupted. Bob struggles to keep the frequency in range.
We have now a number of military aircraft air-to-ground frequencies active, indicating they've got something in the air, as well as ground control frequencies.
That something is moving at an incredible speed, straight toward Guy and Chuck.
We've just got a really bright light in the sky directly overhead the site. Did you see that?
Oh boy.
It's still there. It seems to be moving to the north, but that was amazing. It was so bright, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was directly over the site.
Well, it makes me think it might have been an aircraft with a very directional light on it.
Guy hopes for a second sighting so that Chuck's camera has a chance to catch it. But the sky suddenly goes quiet over Area 51. The runway goes dark. When we return, the next morning brings more flights.
Oh, there's a MiG-29. Excellent.
Mr. X takes us inside the super-secret base.
It is an Air Force separate from the normal Air Force above the regular Air Force.
And Mike Johnson gets too close to the truth.
You got the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department watching me. I definitely got his attention.
It's 5:30 a.m. As the dawn breaks, Chuck and Guy use the telescope to view the base one final time before the heat haze obscures the image.
There's the control tower on the left of that little higher hill in the center.
Yeah.
You see the top 20 feet of it.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it looks like the vehicles are over on the left side of that taxi right now.
For Mike and Bob on the desert below,
Here it comes.
15,000 feet above their heads, Area 51 comes alive. Guy hears it too.
Sounded like there was something in the air over there, Chuck.
It could be a B-2 bomber. They practice refueling around dawn and then stay in the airspace for a couple hours out here.
Guy can't believe his luck. The B-2 is not alone, and it has some surprising company.
Oh, there's a MiG-29. Excellent.
He's turning that way.
Although America is no longer in a Cold War with the Soviets, for some strange reason, it's still fighting their aircraft here at Area 51. In the valley below, Mike and Bob suspect they have been watched all night by base security. They are ready to meet with Chuck and Guy, but have one last place on the map to check.
Well, if I listened to Chuck correctly, the main gate ought to be about 10 miles or less off there toward that hill.
As they close in on the official entrance, Mike is startled by something in the mirror. Barreling toward them is an enormous vehicle. With its windows painted black to protect or hide its passengers, it speeds toward a day's work at the top secret base.
Holy smokes.
The bus doesn't even slow down.
I think the bus is doing a little more than 45, maybe 145.
He was hustling.
He was.
To prepare for this 24-hour vigil, Mike Johnson spent weeks on the strangest stakeout of his career. His target? An Area 51 employee who will talk for the first time about life on the base.
It's mind-boggling from my perspective as an investigator how well maintained the secrecy of this facility is.
The first step, how many people work there, and how do they get to the remote desert base? Area 51 is located 140 desolate miles north of Las Vegas. For years, it's been whispered that a secret airline shuttles hundreds of Area 51 employees every weekday from their homes near Las Vegas to their classified jobs on the base. The name? Janet Air. Legend has it that JANET stands for just another non-existent terminal. Whatever it's called, there's no doubt now that the airline is real.
Over here is the McCarran International Airport, and the Janet Terminal is on the west edge of the airport property.
This secret site is just a few blocks from the Las Vegas Strip.
The only indication of where you're at all is the signs that say warning, secure facility, or no trespassing. There are no overt indications of what this facility is. It's what we refer to as hiding in plain sight.
During his stakeout, the first thing he notices is something that Janet airplanes don't have.
There is no identifying markings on those aircraft with the exception of the tail number. All aircraft have a tail number with the exception of military aircraft, which would indicate to me that they are privately held aircraft.
Using his investigative skills to run down the tail number, Mike knows these planes are owned by EG&G, a huge government contractor.
One of the Janet flights just loaded up, moved out onto the tarmac, and should be taking off here any second. They typically don't leave them in the holding pattern too terribly long. They can get him out on the active runway and get him out of here pretty lickety split.
Every day, hundreds of men and women pass through these gates on their way to work at Area 51.
We're seeing a car go in now. The guard just stepped out. This driver's going to display some form of identification, and the guard's trying to figure out what I'm doing, and he's watching me watching him.
Mike is on public property, but he still has reason to worry. The guard hasn't taken his eyes off Mike's car.
I definitely got his attention. He knows I'm here.
Here's a chance to check out the system's security. But it could also lead to compromising the mission or jail.
Here's the white security pickup truck. Got Janet Terminal Security watching me. I've got the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department watching me. And I'll be stunned